This week in artificial intelligence was absolutely packed. China released one of the largest OpenAI models ever created. Google reportedly delayed its next flagship Gemini model. OpenAI revealed an AI system designed specifically to attack other AI systems. And governments are starting to push back against the enormous infrastructure needed to power the AI race. So let's break down the biggest AI news from July 13th to July 18th, 2026. The biggest model announcement came from the Chinese company Moonshot AI. The company introduced Kimi K3, an enormous mixture of expert model with 2.8 trillion total parameters. Kimi says the model is already available through its website, coding platform, and API. However, the downloadable model weights are scheduled to be released by July 27th. The architecture activates only a small selection of its 896 experts for each request. This allows the model to have a massive overall capacity without using every parameter for every token. Kimi K3 has attracted the attention particularly for coding, reasoning, and agentic tasks. More importantly, its release shows that the Chinese open-weight models are moving extremely close to the performance of the most powerful closed model from American companies. The model is enormous, so running the complete version locally will still require serious infrastructure, but its release could eventually produce smaller versions, quantizations, and fine-tuned models for open source community. Mira Morati's company, Thinking Machines Lab, also released its first model this week. The model is called Inkling. Inkling has 975 billion total parameters with around 41 billion active parameters during inference. It supports a context window of up to 1 million tokens and was trained on text, image, audio, and video. Unlike companies that are only chasing the highest benchmark scores, Thinking Machines is presenting Inkling as a model that companies and developers can customize it. The weights are open and the user can fine-tune the model through the company's Thinker platform. This is important because it represents another major bet on customizable open-weight AI instead of one closed model controlled completely by its creator. Google has both good and bad news this week. According to a Reuters report based on Bloomberg's reporting, Gemini 3.5 Pro is now months behind schedule. The model reportedly failed to meet Google's internal performance targets, especially in coding. Google had previously indicated that the model would arrive in June, but there is still no confirmed release date. This shows how difficult frontier model development has become. Even companies with enormous amount of data, computing power, and research talent cannot guarantee that simply scaling a model will produce the expected improvements. However, Google also launched a new video features inside Google Weeds. Users can now create and edit videos using Gemini Omni through normal text instructions. Google also introduced personal AI avatars that can be generated from a selfie and a short voice recording. You can type a script and the avatar will deliver it using your appearance and voice without requiring you to record the video manually. Google said that generated clips include an invisible synth ID watermark to identify them as AI generated. Interestingly, OpenAI revealed something very different this week, GPT-Red. You heard true. GPT-Red is an internal AI model trained to attack other AI systems. It searches for prompt injection vulnerabilities, attempts to manipulate AI agents, and generate increasingly difficult attacks through self-play reinforcement learning. In one OpenAI controlled evaluation, GPT-Red successfully found attacks in 84% of the tested scenarios, compared with 13% for human red teamers. OpenAI says it used attacks generated by GPT-Red while training GPT 5.6, and according to them, this produced 6 times fewer failures on its most difficult direct prompt injection benchmark. This could become extremely important as AI agents receive access to files, emails, browser, payment systems, and company infrastructure. As agents becomes more powerful, automated systems may be needed to continuously attack and test them before real criminals do. AI race is also becoming a race for electricity, chips, and data centers. Meta, formerly as Facebook, is reportedly discussing a deal that could provide Anthropic with as much as $10 billion of computing capacity over 2 years. The discussion is still early, so the agreement may never happen. But the fact that Anthropic could potentially rent infrastructure from Meta shows how desperate major AI laboratories are for additional computing power. At the same time, public opposition to AI infrastructure is increasing. New York became the first American state to introduce a 1-year moratorium on the construction of large new data centers using 50 megawatts or more. The state cited concern about electricity prices, water consumption, and the effect of massive data centers on local communities. This could become one of the biggest limitations facing AI development, not shortage of idea, but shortage of affordable energy and location willing to host the infrastructure. The European Union also ordered the Google to give rival AI assistants access to 11 important Android capabilities. This could eventually allow users to activate competing assistants through voice commands and let those assistants perform actions currently reserved only for Gemini. And of course, these changes are expected to reach users with the next version of Android in July 2027. Google will also be required to provide qualifying AI search competitors with anonymized search data beginning in January 2027. Google, on the other hand, argues that the requirement could introduce privacy and security risks. Meanwhile, the United States announced a new coordination group connecting AI developers with essential service providers. The goal is to share cybersecurity vulnerabilities discovered by advanced AI systems before criminals can exploit those weaknesses in hospitals, banks, energy networks, and other critical infrastructure. So the main story this week is bigger than any individual model. OpenAI AI is becoming more powerful. AI agents are becoming more capable and more dangerous. The demand for computing power is exploding, and governments are beginning to decide who controls this system, who pays for their infrastructure, and how they should be secured. Kimi K3 may have been the biggest headline, but the real AI battle is now happening across models, chips, energy, cybersecurity, regulation, all at the same time. Which story do you think have the biggest impact? Let me know in the comment. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and And as always, thank you for watching. See you next time.